Okay, so here's a replay of a Total War Attila battle that I did, playing as the Huns. It's a pretty good just demonstration in how to use cavalry effectively in this game. Before we get started here, I just want to point out my formation. We have the enemy kind of mostly in the center here. They also have some reinforcements that are going to be coming from the back of the map. So basically my plan is to try to get some sort of defense and depth in the enemy, try to split up their formation, stretch it out, maybe even expose their commander. They only have a couple cavalry units. They have another one in their reinforcements, and a couple ranged units as well. Obviously, I do not want to engage those infantry in melee combat with my cavalry unless I absolutely have to as a last resort. I'm playing as the Huns right now, as I said, so they have some of the best cavalry in the game, but it is still very early in the game when I did this, so they're not super upgraded or high level or anything like that. But that is just one thing to keep in mind. So again, my overall plan is just to try to stretch out the enemy offense, break up their formation, take out their cavalry and their archers, so that way my cavalry have just free reign of the battlefield, and I can pick out whatever targets that I want from there. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump into things. Okay, so normally I have screens or additional horse units that I send out with my horse archers to keep them protected. But in this case, I want to try to draw out the enemy cavalry again and draw out their line, break up their formation. Right now I couldn't see everything here, as you can see from the little eyes on the units. I couldn't see these units, they were all hidden in the forest. So I was moving my cavalry forward, hoping to draw somebody out. Here comes somebody now. So we're going to start peppering them with some arrows here. Normally, I would not pit ranged cavalry against ranged cavalry units like this, because it's just an even fight, right? There's no advantage. But I'm trying to draw out their units. I figure if I can pelt these guys, maybe those cavalry will make an appearance. Okay, so in the meantime, I'm moving some of my cavalry up through the woods. Try to strike their horse archers while they're vulnerable. And then sure enough, this is when I can see their cavalry moving into that valley there, trying to flank my cavalry that's moving up. So it's a good thing I did that. I got their cavalry to show themselves. Now we're going to turn back, bam, bam, and we're going to countercharge that cavalry unit. So you're just taking it pretty much entirely out of the fight. If we can kill it fast enough, they might entirely lose integrity and they might not regroup. Okay, so in the meantime, this other melee cavalry unit, I'm moving around to the backside of the battlefield so that I can either pursue that unit if it gets away, which it doesn't look like it is, and also so it can be in position to hit the enemy ranged units later. So I'm moving it there now. So now my cavalry units are getting away just as the enemy infantry was coming out of the woods there, and I'm having this cavalry unit, like I said before, I pulled them back, now they're moving up to cover these units' retreat. So rather than having all three of these units move as one, I split them in two. There's a stronger unit and a weaker unit. And I'm using those to just move the enemies around, cover each other's retreats. Okay, I got one of their cavalry units again to expose themselves, trying to come after my horse archers. Those skirmishers charged a little earlier, I guess, than they should have. But I was trying to make sure that I could hold them in place for the flanking charge here that's coming in. Alright, so again, I've managed to draw these horse archers off so that I don't have to worry about them attacking into this melee up here. If those three horse archers were to just let loose right there, it would be catastrophic. Alright, so now I'm charging to kind of get them back into the melee, but they still have a really tight formation here now that they're coming out of the woods. The commander's pulling back a bit, staying hidden. So I've got to find a way to try to get those archers. Fortunately, my other cavalry, I've moved them down off the hill already. And they're ready to strike now the enemy. I did this as soon as I saw them moving out of the woods. We started moving them down that hill. All right. Now we have a great setup here. So our commanders come down the hill. They've rushed that archer unit. And they've got the enemy commander also engaged in melee. So meanwhile, I've got my horse archers in the back continuing to draw out the enemy infantry, who've realized already it's too late. Now those other cavalry that I sent to the back to act as screens again, I don't have to worry about the enemy's cavalry. I know where they all are now, so I can move them off of screen duty. They're going to come in now to reinforce my cavalry charge up here. See, if you just charge the enemy commander right at the beginning with your horse archers after they take some damage and run out of arrows, it's completely ineffective. But this strategy is incredibly effective. Take out most of the enemy's cavalry, then while their infantry is stretched forward trying to take out your archers, you leap on the enemy commander with all of the cavalry you can spare, not one or two little piddly units that are almost dead. It's not worth the risk. All right. So now we're going to try desperately. Okay, so these horse archers, we've switched them to melee. They're charging that bow infantry over there. Again, we managed to get some more of their bows just out on their own while their infantry was stretched out. Okay, I'm ordering these guys to pull back. There we go. Sometimes if you order a retreat, a unit that is on the verge of breaking will just break. It's sometimes better not to fight them all the way to the bitter end. Just order a retreat, and then the enemy unit, while they are retreating and pulling back and getting back into formation, they'll just break. They'll say, you know what, we don't want to go out for another engagement. We're done. We're going to try to do that same thing here to this unit of horse archers. It's the last cavalry unit and the last ranged unit that the enemy has. So we're just going to pelt them with some fire. Yeah, bam. That volley of arrows right there managed to take them down from half strength to third strength, and now they're running. Fire against cavalry units is incredibly effective. So now, okay, they're down to 5 infantry units here. No ranged, no cavalry. We're just going to fast forward because it's just down to mopping the last of them up at this point. Okay, so they're getting back into formation, coming up the hill at me here. I've got some cavalry there in the wings waiting to charge out. My plan is to set these woods on fire. So the infantry have to walk through flaming woods. I can't see them when they're in those woods, but I can see them right here. So I shoot in the woods to light the woods on fire. That way they're already flaming as the infantry walks through it. Hold it back. Yep, and they just keep on chasing my commander and his big old retinue there. And now they break. Which is good, because we were just starting to run out of arrows. That's good. If we ran out of arrows, then we would have to commit ourselves pretty much to melee and start flanking them from one side and then the other side and then the other side and then the other side. But now we're just going to mop up the last of them here so we don't have to worry about them. They basically came and attacked me. It was them and a garrison army. I was camped outside of a city, and their army came and attacked me along with the garrison, and didn't turn out so well for them. All right, so taking a look at the numbers here. So we deployed 600, they deployed 1,380, so a little over double our number. We lost 82 and they lost 1,172. So for those of you who are into kill to death ratios, that's about 14.2, 14.3. 82, I lost some men to my own arrows. They lost some to the fire. But overall, this was a stunning victory on my part. Absolutely crushed. This is the power of the Huns too, and the power overall of cavalry. You can see, obviously, my army is not at full strength. If we were to fill out this army with more infantry and some ranged units and everything like that, it could be incredibly effective, but you can see that you don't even need those. Obviously, cavalry units, especially horse cavalry, they tend to be a little expensive, but they are worth the money, as you can see. All right, well, I hope you all enjoyed that video. Have a great day.